We are not here to get something. We are here because something already is. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Let that be our beginning, our advantage, our discipline. Not the massing of many minds, but the joining of a single realized consciousness in which the burden lifts. In private effort, you carry a sack of stones. In united consciousness, the sack is not there. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. We are not stitching together a better tomorrow. We are consenting to recognize the presence that is here. God is. God is one. That is the treatment, the sermon, the way. Now hear this with both honesty and relief. We are not moving toward answers. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who by arranging better sentences can silence a storm? Be still and know that I am God. Our pivot is radical and simple. We consent to live from the answer, not from opinions, not from private will, not from the noise of religious technique, from the answer. God is. Say it once and then stop. Stop. Let your tongue fall still before you talk to God. The letter prepares, yes, but then the Spirit must be the actor. God is, the Lord is, that's all. Do you see how the hunt for methods keeps you outside your own house? As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. As long as you imagine that a brighter affirmation will do the work, you stand in the place of the doer. But I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. This is not poetry. It is the only architecture that will stand in the wind. What we build with thought collapses in the weather of thought. What God is never knows collapse. Let us be lovingly severe with our habit of chasing. You do not need one more tip. You do not need a trick. You need identity. What is your I? If your I is a thinker seeking God, you will wander among books and prayers and find only echoes. If your I yields, if it consents to be the transparency through which God beholds God, then the wandering ceases in the instant. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, but you can be still and find that you are the place of it. Before they call, I will answer. That is scripture. That is your biography, if you will let it be. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. There is no insult here. There is liberation. As long as you are still a small sovereign planning improvements, you cannot be the instrument through which grace appears. Be honest. Can you heal a sparrow's wing with a syllable? Can you bind the Pleiades? Then why keep up the pretense in spiritual work? Drop it. Let the pretense go, and you will feel the easy yoke. My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient means enough and more than enough. In this room, in this moment, let private effort be replaced by united consciousness. Not united opinions, united consciousness. If there are 10 righteous in a city, the city is preserved. If there is one realized recognition in a room, the room is lifted. How? Not by mental magnetism, not by suggestion, not by will, but by the fact of one. God is one. Therefore, there is not another beside God to oppose, correct, or complete God. Rest here. Bring your need, and then lay it down where there is no separate you to carry it. The Lord is, and because the Lord is, I am. That is the end of chasing So we begin in silence, not the silence of vacancy, but the silence of consent. Hold those teeth together long enough for the heart to say without words, God is. That is the seat, the altar, and the answer. Acquaint now thyself with him and be at peace. We will proceed not to accumulate truth, but to live from truth, not to ask for the answer, but to be the place where the answer is already living us. In this quiet, let the next word come not as another layer of effort, but as revelation. It is finished. Hear that not as a slogan to console the weary, but as the Master's declaration of reality. Finished means whole. Finished means nothing lacking, nothing to be corrected, nothing to be persuaded into place. Finished means God is one, and in that oneness no opposite arises to complete or oppose. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Spirit is completeness, not a force mobilized to create completeness. We do not get God to conclude what God forgot. We do not advise omniscience. We do not decorate perfection. We consent. This, beloved, is the turning of the great vector of the soul. All our lives we have leaned outward toward outcomes, toward tomorrow's supply, toward health as an acquisition, peace as an import, salvation as a transaction. Reverse the vector. Turn within. The kingdom of God is within you. Presence is the substance of good. Presence is the good itself. Seek first the kingdom, and all these things are added, not manufactured, not earned, not induced, added, because they were included in the is of God. Your Father knows what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Before, do you hear? The answer is the ground of asking. Asking is the echo of the answer. If this is so, and it is so, bargaining prayer must cease. Stop. Stop. Do not present plans to God. Do not arrange demonstrations. Do not employ words as levers. Let your tongue be still long enough to let the heart stand under the weight of it is finished. In that realization, harmony appears by grace. Harmony does not come because thought invited it or because emotion desired it. Thought and emotion are not powers. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Grace reveals what already is. Be still and know that I am God. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who by polished petitions can instruct the sun to rise, the tide to turn, the life to flow? Who can improve omnipresence? Who can amend I am that I am? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Want is not solved by projects. Want dissolves in presence. The shepherdness of God is the finishedness of God. The pasture is not planted by your will. It is recognized by your resting. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Even the lying down is his doing. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Now, because our minds are trained for merit and measurement, they ask, but if it is finished, why the pain, the lack, the fear? And the answer is the same. God is one. There is no power opposite God. Pain and fear and lack are not entities with power. They are appearances sustained by belief in two powers. When oneness is realized, the appearance dissolves as darkness does at sunrise. Do not fight the darkness. Do not discuss it. Do not analyze its genealogy. Turn on the light. Consent to the already finished radiance. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and Spirit is where? Not coming. Is. Prayer, then, is not a reaching but a receiving. Not an outlining but an out-breath. Your prayers will be a wordless, thoughtless inner realization of the is of God. Sit in the holy hush and treat God as God. Omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence already. Let me, says the Spirit, let me, my grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient means enough and more than enough. In this sufficiency, your very asking becomes gratitude. Your seeking becomes beholding. Your striving becomes Sabbath. It is finished. So take this simple practice as you would take bread. Pause, close the lips before they form a request, and yield the center to presence. Whisper inwardly, if you must whisper at all, God is. Then wait. Wait without bargaining, without suggestion, without fear that silence will fail you. Silence cannot fail, because silence is God knowing himself as your very life. And as recognition dawns, you will find that outcomes have become outshone, that supply has become the natural exhaling of being, that health is not gained but revealed. Before they call, I will answer. It is finished. Live from that, and watch grace make visible what has forever been. Now let us be very clear about the means by which this finishedness becomes our living. There are two parts to this work. There is the letter of truth, and there is the spirit or consciousness of truth. The letter is study, statements, quotations, beautiful thoughts, and even inspired phrases. The spirit is the living realization, the felt isness of God as your awareness. The apostle said it plainly, the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. That is not an insult to Scripture, it is the honor of Scripture. The letter is the finger, the spirit is the moon. The letter is the menu, the spirit is the bread. Take the menu away, you may still eat. Keep the menu only, you will starve while reciting recipes. God is one. Therefore, the power is never in the finger that points, but in the presence to which it points. Now hear me with compassion and firmness. The letter is holy as an aid, but it is still not power. We gather passages, we underline, we memorize, and it seems our mental treasury has grown. But thought is not God. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. A thought about light is not light. You still stumble in the room until the lamp is switched on. A correct statement about God is not God. You remain in the realm of mind until you sink beyond mind into realization. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who by perfect affirmation can make one white hair black? Who by fervent repetition can move the tide or quicken the sun? Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. So what are we to do with our beautiful phrases? Use them as the doorknob and then walk through. Do not set up a shrine to the doorknob. Do not go on with vain repetitions. Stop. Let your tongue fall still before you talk to God. Hold those teeth together long enough to let the inner ear wake to be still and know that I am God. In that pause, the letter yields to spirit. In that hush, the personal doer drops away, and the Father within doeth the works. Do not try to force silence. You cannot muscle your way into Sabbath. Consent to it. Turn toward the presence and let the heart without words stand under it like one who opens a window for air already present. You will say to me, but how shall I practice? Like this. Sit. Once, twice, often. For a few breaths with your lips closed and your expectations surrendered. If there must be one word, let it be this. God is. Say it once and then stop. Stop. Rest. Wait without outline, without meter, without stopwatch. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. But in the inward quiet, you will discover you are the place of it. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And where is the Spirit? Here, now. Not arriving on the back of your sentences already here as the life that looks out your eyes. Let me tell you a little story. A woman, call her Miriam, came to me with a small book bulging with notes, pages of affirmations, quotations, dates, hours. She had been faithful to the letter. I said them all night, she confessed. Yet fear increased. I asked, and then, at 3 a.m, she said, I was too tired to go on. I put the book down. I whispered, God is. And then I fell into a great quiet I did not make. By sunrise, the thing I chased had stopped chasing me. What changed? Not the words. The personal doer was laid down, and grace already present had room to appear. Before they call, I will answer. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Therefore make your study serve your silence. Read until the heart is warmed, and then close the book. Think until you remember you cannot think your way into God, and then let thought bow out. My thoughts are not your thoughts, saith the Lord. Treat God as God, omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence, and then refrain from telling omniscience anything. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Acquaintance here is not verbal. It is presence to presence. It is not a stream of information. It is a well of realization. Your true prayer will be a wordless, thoughtless inner beholding, spirit bearing witness with spirit that I am is the only I. When you notice the mind reaching again for tools, be kind and decisive. Do not condemn the letter. Honor it by letting it hand you to the spirit. Do not whip the mind, quiet it. Do not bargain, be. In that being, you will find the answer living you. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. This is not a metaphor. It is the method. And it is no method at all, only consent. Let me, says the Spirit. Let me. In that letting, harmony appears by grace, not as a product of thought, but as the overflow of realized oneness. God is one. God is. That is enough. Now, on this point, we must be immovable. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. I am the Lord, and beside me there is no God. If there is only one, then every whisper of a second, power, fear, disease, fortune, fate, even your noblest thoughts has no law, no cause, no substance. Do not grant it a name that frightens you. Do not grant it a pedestal that tempts you. God is one. Treat that not as a decoration for a wall, but as the ground beneath your feet. If God is one, where could an opposite stand to oppose or complete God? If the circle is whole, what fragment remains outside demanding glue? Be still, and let the premise be the practice, one. As long as you hold a corner of belief in two powers, you will continue the chase, chasing the good power to conquer the bad power, polishing the bright thought to outshine the dark thought, building the bigger prayer to outshout the storm. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who by arranging syllables can make one white hair black? Thought is not a power, not a good thought, not a bad thought. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. The term you inherited, mortal mind, is a term denoting nothingness. Fear, disease, fortune. These names mask the same. Nothing made believable by attention. Withdraw belief in two, and the masquerade ends. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? This is the paradox that frees. Not more faith in thought, but the end of faith in thought. Your last idol is your faith in your faith. Let it fall. Stop. Stop. Let your tongue be still before you talk to God. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy, not to condemn you, but to unseat the little sovereign who imagines that ideas wield power. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. When the doer is surrendered, presence is free to be what it is without your interference, and harmony appears by grace, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Spirit does not compete. Spirit is where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So notice the engine of seeking. It runs on the fuel of twowness. If I had more, if I understood better, if I could hold the thought longer, that engine is habit, not truth. Oneness dissolves the very premise of its motion. When there is only one, what remains to hunt? When the shepherd is the pasture, what remains to seek? He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Even the lying down is his doing. The heart that consents to one finds the treadmill unplugged, the wheel no longer spinning air into dust. Peace appears not as a mood, but as the natural atmosphere of oneness recognized. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Do not misunderstand. This is not denial. It is recognition. We do not shut our eyes to storms. We cease appointing them as powers. We do not argue with shadows on the wall. We turn toward the light. The light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. In practice, it is as simple as this. When a fear presents, do not wrestle. Turn within, let the lips close, and acknowledge one. Whisper if you must, God is. Then stop. Stop. Wait without outline. Refuse the bite to improve the picture. Let grace reveal what already is. Before they call, I will answer. In that stillness, you watch the search evaporate, and in its place you find Sabbath here. In the midst, God is one. Because God is one, nothing stands outside to oppose, correct, or complete God. Rest there, and let the finished work appear as your very life. Now the next honesty is this. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Let that confession not merely pass across your lips. Let it unseat a throne within you. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. Not to wound you, but to remove from you the last disguise of the personal sovereign who imagines that planning, bracing, affirming, and managing can usher in God. God is one. If God is one, who is this second actor you have hired to perform holy works? If God is all power, what remains for the personal doer to do but exhaust itself? This is the last idol to fall, the religious doer, the one who trusts in his own clean thoughts, her own steadfast hold, their own flawless method. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. The Master did not say, I have cultivated superior mental habits. He said, I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Paul did not boast, I refined, successful. He said, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And again, it is God who worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Hear that. To will and to do, origin and action are of God. Now, you ask, how does such surrender look in practice? Simple and exact. Before you speak, before you decide, before your hand reaches, pause, close the lips. Hold those teeth together if you must. Inwardly yield. Let me turn this over now to the Father. Let me feel thy presence. Say it once, then stop. Stop. Refuse the impulse to outline answers or to fit a halo on your plan. Be still and know that I am God. Wait, not for a sentence, not for a sign, but for that soft, wordless awareness that the burden has shifted off the little I and rested in I am. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. Yet you will know. The center has moved from self to presence. This is not passivity. This is receptivity. This is the ceasing of self-will that makes room for the spontaneous. From that yielding, you will find action rising without strain. It may be a phone call you had not planned to make, a silence you did not think you could keep, a forgiveness you had postponed for years, or an hour of rest that seemed irresponsible yesterday. It appears not as your achievement, but as fruit. Abide in me, and you shall bear much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. The branch does not grip the vine in panic. It abides, and sap grace moves of itself, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Let me tell you a small thing that happened in a shop on a narrow street. A man, call him Jacob, sat with invoices stacked like bricks and a fear like mortar between them. He sharpened his pencil, straightened the papers, counted, recounted, prepared noble speeches for creditors. The more he prepared, the tighter the chest. At last, remembering, he pushed the chair back, closed his mouth, and said inwardly, Father, I turn this over. Let me feel thy presence. He stopped. He waited. A hush, unmanufactured, filled the room. The doer dropped. Within minutes, a call came asking to delay one bill. An unexpected order arrived. And by evening, he saw that the pile had become paper again, not a tower. Do not imagine that a sentence caused these events. Grace was already the fabric. His surrender permitted him to live on its side of reality. Before they call, I will answer. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You will find that this way of yielding becomes your first movement in all things. Before the door opens to work, before the child's question, before the surgeon's knife, before the pen meets the page, let me turn this over now to the Father. Not my will, but thine be done. Then wait in the holy pause until the pressure of I must loosens, and the lightness of God takes its seat. From there, you will discover that right action is effortless in the sense that the river need not be pushed. It runs. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Easy does not mean inactive. It means unforced. Do not mistake the surrender for laziness. Laziness is avoidance. Surrender is availability. Passivity is fear disguised. Receptivity is faith realized. In surrender, you are most alive because you are transparent to life. The works are God's. The ideas are God's. The timing is God's. Your part is to consent. Let me, says the Spirit, let me. In that letting, you will witness power appearing as the personal doer disappears. And you will say with quiet certainty, not as a theory, but as a testimony, I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. God is one. Therefore I rest, and therefore I move both by grace. Prayer, then, is not informing God, not alerting omniscience to a bulletin about your life, not arranging outcomes on celestial stationery. Prayer is being placed consciously on the receiving end of God. Your Father knows what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Before. If he knows before, what is left to outline? If grace is the fabric, what is left to weave? When ye pray, use not vain repetitions. Do not think that by stacking words you leverage the infinite. God is one. God is. Treat prayer as the quiet consent by which grace reveals the answer already present. How do we come to that consent? With a bodily arrest that interrupts the reflex to manage. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Hold those teeth together. Stop. Stop. Be still and know that I am God. If there must be a mantra, let it be this. God is. Say it once, and then be silent. Do not scratch at heaven with syllables. Do not dress the presence with your preferences. Sit in the hush as one who opens a window rather than as one who fans the air. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. Yet in that stillness you discover the atmosphere of I am, surrounding, pervading, constituting you. In true prayer, something happens that is not an event you produce. Spirit bears witness with spirit. We do not know what we should pray for as we ought. The Spirit itself maketh intercession with groanings that are not uttered, not uttered. The letter stands aside. The living realizes itself. You find yourself breathed rather than breathing. Thought loosens rather than concluding. The sense of a private center thins, and the vastness, intimate and unspectacular, is. There is no voice saying, now it is done. Yet you know, without argument, that you have been inwardly answered by the answer. That always was. Before they call, I will answer. Reject the habit of results, first prayer. As long as you believe that your words, your intensity, your sincerity are powers, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who by arranging sentences can compel peace? Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not manufactured. Prayer does not reach for things. Prayer beholds God. And in beholding God, you discover there is nothing separate called things to be acquired. Presence is substance, life, order, and sufficiency. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Let me place this into a small scene, so you may feel it with your feet on the ground. A mother sits up in the night, listening for a car that is late, measuring dangers in the dark. She begins to outline angels as traffic wardens and piles assurance upon fear until her breath is short. At last she remembers. She closes the lips. God is. And then she refuses the next sentence. She waits. A quiet, not manufactured, takes the seat. Fear has nothing to argue with, for there is no second power on the field. She does not try to hold the quiet. The quiet holds her. When the phone rings a few minutes later, it is the harmless sound of a key at the door. Do not assign this to a technique. The answer was present. Her prayer was consent, not control. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So begin to treat prayer as a holy pause scattered through your day. Before you answer the letter, before you take the meeting, before you look at the account, close the lips and yield the center. Let me turn this over now to the Father. Say, God is, and then stop. Stop. Remain without outline long enough for grace to appear as peace, as clarity, as the natural nextness that requires no push. When there is a word to speak, it will come unforced. When there is a step to take, it will step you. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Easy does not mean idle. Easy means unopposed by the strain of two powers. This is prayer, not a performance, not a persuasion, not a bargain. Consent. Consent to God as God. Consent to be the place where the finished work shines through. In that consent, harmony appears of itself, not as a prize for effort, but as the visibility of what already is. God is one. God is. Be still and know. Let grace do what only grace can do, and you will find that you live hour by hour on the receiving end of God. Let us do it now. Not talk about it, do it. Right where you are. Do not improve your posture to meet God. Simply consent to be still. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let the hands rest. Let the eyes soften. This is the turn it over pause, the holy arrest by which we stop being the fixer and are returned to being the transparency for God. First, confess. Of myself, I can do nothing. Say it within, not as a slogan, but as relief. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Feel the mercy in that truth. You are not Atlas with a world on your shoulders. You are a branch abiding in a vine that already flows. Without me, ye can do nothing. Let the burden roll off the private shoulders you have been manufacturing since morning. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Breathe. And notice that even that is given. You are not the lungs. You are being breathed. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy, not as shame, but as doorway. This is the first easing, the end of the little sovereign. Second, recognize God is. God is one. Say it once, and then let it stand. God is one. No second power on the field, no second self to manage God. The Lord our God is one Lord. I am the Lord, and beside me there is no God. If there is only one, what is there to oppose, complete, or correct the one? The premise ends the chase. The problem shrinks to a rumor when faced with one. Let the idea of two silently drain away, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Spirit is the only actor, the only presence, the only law. Third, cease. Stop. Stop. No words, no asking. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Be still and know that I am God. Wait without an agenda. You are not waiting for a sign, an answer, a tingle. You are not timing the stillness with a hidden clock. You are simply ceasing from your own works as God did from his, to behold that it is finished. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. And yet, in this cessation, the fever of doing cools, who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? No one. So let thought rest, like a bird on a branch when the wind dies down. Fourth, consent. Father, Let me feel thy presence, only that. Not do this for me, not change that for them, only let me feel thy presence. Then rest until the inner drop is sensed. You know, the drop, it is as if the center, long held in the brow, where worry sits, releases and descends like a stone slipping through water, settling in a deep, wordless quiet. Do not manufacture it. Do not chase it. Let me, says the Spirit. Let me. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Before. So the asking now is consent, not information. Fifth, abide. Do nothing to hold it. Let the presence hold you. The branch does not grip the vine. It abides. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Do not clutch at the quiet. Clinging is still doing. Rest. Let the awareness of I am be the floor under your feet. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from forcing, from measuring, from supervising God. Abide an extra breath beyond your habit. Abide until the shoulders melt, the jaw loosens, the forehead smooths without your interference. Abide until you notice that the very room, this car, this store, this desk has been gently reseen, not changed by effort, but illumined by presence. Now, open the eyes if they were closed. Do not rise to fix. Remain yielded, and let rising come of itself. Examine nothing. Simply notice. The center has shifted. A moment ago, the problem was the center and God, the visitor. Now God is the center, and the problem of passing weather. This is the answer: living, not being chased. This is living from, not toward. In this awareness, the next step, if there is a step, comes without strain. A call to make appears as ease. A word to refrain from arises as peace. Forgiveness, unplanned, becomes obvious. The meeting you feared loses its teeth. The pain you named reduces to an echo. Do not ascribe these to technique. Grace makes visible what already is. Carry this pause into the smallest hinges of your day. At the threshold of the office door, stop. At the ring of the phone, stop. Before you reply, stop. Of myself I can do nothing. God is one. Be still. Father, let me feel thy presence. Abide. 5 movements. 1 motion. Surrender. Practice in 10-second sacraments scattered like seed, and you will find a harvest of quiet certainty ripening without your management, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. And when the mind protests, but what of the deadline? What of the ache? What of the lack? Do not answer the protest. Turn again into the pause. Let oneness answer by being one. This is our demonstration. Not fireworks, not volume, not drama. Sabbath in the midst. Acquaint now thyself with him and be at peace. The acquainting here is not chatting. It is consenting. In that consent, the treadmill stops. In that stillness, the answer, that is, appears. God is one. God is, and the life you thought you had to push begins to live you. Now let us bring it all into one seeing. There are not 3 here. God is one. If God is one, then God, the one who prays, and the one prayed for, are not 3 points on a triangle sending signals. They are one life, one presence, one I. I and the Father are one. In him we live and move and have our being. that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee. Take this not as poetry, but as practice. To accept separation is to invent a problem and a solver. To behold oneness is to find there was no problem to begin with, only a misperception asking to be unseen. This ends the transaction model. We are not transferring a substance called healing from a practitioner's reservoir to a patient's emptiness. We are not pushing thought across miles as if spirit rides on syllables. No man has ever lived capable of healing another person spiritually. The Father within doeth the works. That which constitutes a practitioner is just a state of consciousness that knows this truth and rests in it without outline. Healing is not a shipment. It is recognition. It is the recognition that wholeness is the only presence here, and that what we called a problem is a name we gave to a shadow when the lamp had not yet been turned inward. So in practice, when a report comes, fear, symptom, lack, refuse, a second power, refuse it firmly, gently, immediately. Stop. Stop. Let the lips close. Turn within and acknowledge. God is. God is one. Then be still and let the felt sense of two powers drain away. You will not wrestle the report. You will not argue with it. You will abide in the simple living premise. One, in that beholding, the finished work that always is becomes visible as order, as peace, as sufficiency. It is finished. Before they call, I will answer. The answer is not arriving. It is appearing to itself as your realization loosens the fiction of separation. You say, but what of the distance? What of the person far away? Where can you stand outside of omnipresence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in the depths, behold, thou art there. Where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. The gathering is not geographical. It is united consciousness. The practitioner, the so-called patient, and God are one consciousness recognizing itself. When that is known, the sense of a far-off suffering, one melts in the awareness of Christ, is all and in all, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Picture a simple scene. A friend calls and says, pray. You do not reach for words, as if bricks could build a sanctuary. You close the lips. You turn it over to the Father. You recognize, one, the pressure to produce drifts off. Presence fills the awareness as a soft, unlabored light. A minute passes, maybe two. You say nothing to the friend. You give nothing to the friend. In truth, there is no friend, and you and God is three. There is God appearing as friendship, as breath, as calm, in the very place that seemed troubled. Later, the story changes. Do not assign cause and effect to your thought. Grace was already the fabric. Your practice was transparency, not transaction. Make this your identity anchor. I am not the solver. I am the transparency through which the answer shines. The window does not strain to brighten the room. It yields to the sun. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father, not because me is a superior person, but because the personal has grown so thin that only I am looks through. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. Yet in the hush, you know that the I that prays and the I that is prayed for are the same I am that said, before Abraham was, I am. Hold to this in the midst of life, when the child cries, when the ledger groans, when the diagnosis walks into the room. Do not assemble a courtroom with opposing counsel. One presence is here. One life is here. One law is here. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. As this recognition becomes your reflex, you will watch problem-making cease, not because the world has been ironed flat, but because you have stopped appointing a second power to wrinkle it. Wholeness is the only presence here. God is one. God is be still and let the one be all. Now we must anchor this realization in a rhythm that outlives the mood of a meeting and the glow of a good sentence. Discipline of grace is not more doing. It is consecrated stopping. Pray without ceasing does not mean mutter all day. It means live attuned, live yielded, live on the receiving end of God. Make a life of small obediences to the one. Short, faithful pauses, morning, midday, evening, become the trellis on which the vine shows its fruit. The work is finished. These pauses simply reveal it. In the morning, before the hand reaches for a device, before the eyes gather headlines, be still. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Close the lips. Confess inwardly, of myself I can do nothing. Then recognize God is one. Say it once, then stop. Stop. Be very firm with the mind's itch to plan the day into holiness. Be still and know that I am God. Rest there long enough for the sense of being personally in charge to melt, and the quiet certainty to arise that this day is already God's day. This is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Do not outline what rejoicing must look like. Abide. Let the first emails be answered from this center, not from speed. Let breakfast be blessed not by words over it, but by presence through you. Midday. Mark thresholds as bells. The ring of a phone, the opening of a door, the turn of a key, the lift of a latch, let each be your reminder. Stop. Stop. Turn it over now to the Father. Father, let me feel thy presence. Then wait without outline. In the hallway before a meeting. In the car before stepping out. In the restroom between one demand and the next 10 seconds of holy arrest, not to get God to come, but to let the one who is be consciously all. Do not time it. Do not measure it. Notice the center shift, that drop from forehead to heart, that soft reseeing. Then move, not as the doer, but as the transparency. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Easy, because there are not two powers tugging at you. Evening, release. Lay the day where it belongs. Into thy hands I commend my spirit, not as exhaustion that collapses, but as Sabbath that consents. Resist the urge to inventory successes and failures as if scorekeeping could sanctify you. Do not bargain for tomorrow's improvements. Let the letter be silent. Let the spirit rest you. It is finished. Say it without drama. Then let sleep come as trust, for he giveth his beloved sleep. If there is a wakeful hour in the night, treat it not as a problem, but as a visitation. God is. Be still, abide, and return to rest without managing the rest. Now, be clear about what frees you. Do away with formulas. Refuse affirmational strain. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Neither mind nor thought heals. The grace of God appears when the personal doer disappears. Do not repeat phrases like charms. Do not build sentences like ladders. Stop. Stop. Hold those teeth together if you must. Consent to God as God. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Before. Treat prayer as receiving, not achieving. Bring it to the bill due. The envelope is there, and with it the old reflex to calculate and brace. Stop, stop, close the lips. Of myself I can do nothing. God is one. Father, let me feel thy presence. Abide until the pressure to fix loosens, and clarity, not panic, rises. Then open the envelope. Action will appear without strain. A call to make, a simplification to accept, a generosity to receive. Bring it to a diagnosis. Do not fight a name with another name. Refuse a second power on the field. Be still. Let oneness be the only premise. In that beholding, you will be led, sometimes to a treatment, sometimes to a rest, sometimes to a wordless peace that dissolves the terror. Bring it to conflict. Before you answer the sharp email or the raised voice, stop, turn it over. Let me, says the Spirit, let me then speak or be silent from presence. Soft answers will arise that you could not have designed, or a firm no without anger will appear, and the fire will find nothing to burn. Do not imagine that these pauses are private virtues for your private good. Your realization is never private. Ye are the light of the world. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. The gathering is consciousness, not geography. If there be 10 righteous in a city, the city is spared. If there be 10 yielded ones in an office, a household, a school, the climate lifts. Let your quiet bless the street you walk, the ward you pass through, the store where you stand in line. You will not preach. You will not perform. You will abide. And you will notice that agitation loosens in rooms you enter, that solutions emerge at tables you sit around, that fairness and mercy show their faces where you had no plan to bring them, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Make of your day a rosary of pauses, small beads of consent strung through ordinary hours, morning, midday, evening, and all the thresholds between stop, stop. Of myself, I can do nothing. God is. God is. One, Father, let me feel thy presence. Abide. These small, faithful obediences will stabilize a life lived from the finished work, not driven by anxious effort, but carried by grace already present. You will find your steps sure and your heart quiet. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And you will live simply and steadily from the answer that is, beloved, we end where we began, not with a new method, but with the answer that already is. God is one. It is finished. Your part is recognition. No more, no less. Recognition is not a feat. It is a consent. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. If the Father doeth the works, what remains for you but to step out of the way and let the works appear? Stop chasing answers. Stop. Consent to be the place where the answer lives you, here and now. Tonight, before sleep, give one deliberate pause to God. Not a long vigil, not a performance, one holy arrest. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together if you must. Say with him, of myself, I can do nothing. Then once, and only once, God is one. Then wait without outline until the inner drop appears, that quiet descent from forehead, worry to heart, knowing. Do not manufacture it. Do not bargain. Be still and know that I am God. When the drop is sensed, do nothing with it. Let the presence hold you. Into thy hands I commend my spirit. Let sleep come as trust, for he giveth his beloved sleep. If there is a waking in the night, do not make a project of it. Treat it as a visitation. Do not reach for devices, for thoughts, for answers. God is. That is enough. Whisper nothing more within. Wait. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, the liberty of unforced calm, the liberty of rest without management. If words try to return, hold those teeth together and abide. Before they call, I will answer. Let the answer be the atmosphere of that hour, even if it seems ordinary. The ordinary, illumined, is holy. In the morning, before the hand reaches for a device, before the mind constructs a day to be carried by your shoulders, stop. Of myself I can do nothing. God is. God is one. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. Not to condemn yourself, but to free yourself from the tyranny of being the doer. This is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Do not outline rejoicing. Consent to it. Turn the day over before it begins. Let me feel thy presence. Then let the day step you. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. And what of promise? Not a prize for piety, but the nature of presence showing itself. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from fear's reflex. Liberty from anxious outcomes. Liberty from the second power. You will notice the health of your countenance, a softening of the brow, a steadiness in the voice, not trained but given. You will find quiet supply, sufficiency that appears as the right idea, the open door, the shared loaf, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. You will meet unlabored guidance, steps that arrive as obviousness rather than pressure. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not manufactured. Take this beyond your pillow and your porch. Ye are the light of the world. Let your surrender be a blessing where you stand. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. The gathering is consciousness in your home, your office, your street. Refuse a second power. Abide as transparency, not as fixer. You will not preach. You will not perform. You will be, and in that being, climates change. If there be 10 righteous, 10 yielded in the city is spared. Be among the 10 by doing the one thing needful, consenting to God as God. So I send you not to get answers, but to live from the answer. God is one. God is. It is finished. Be still and know. Let your life be a rosary of pauses. Tonight's drop, the night watch's hush, the morning's first surrender. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Go in this peace. Let the Father within do the works, and you will find that the answer lives you now and now and now. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Go and live from the answer.